The text message hit my phone at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that started normal and ended with my life in flames. I was under the hood of a '67 Mustang, knuckles scraped from wrestling with a stubborn carburetor, when my phone buzzed against my leg. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Maxed out your card in Miami. You make enough. Briana. I read it 3 times before the words sank in like a rusty knife between my ribs. My wife of 8 years had just blown our credit limit in Miami, a city I'd never been to, spending money I didn't have, with an attitude that made my teeth grind. You make enough. Jesus Christ. I'm Danny Morrison, 38 years old, and I fix cars for a living. Not fancy cars for rich people, beat-up Hondas and Fords for folks who need their rides to last another 100,000 miles. My shop, Morrison's Auto, sits in a neighborhood where people know the difference between want and need. Apparently, my wife had forgotten that lesson. I wiped my hands on a greasy rag and called the credit card company. The automated voice chirped cheerfully about my recent activity: spa treatments, nightclub charges, a hotel suite, restaurant bills that cost more than most people's rent. The total made my stomach drop: $8,400 on a card with an $8,500 limit. Recent charges show Miami Beach, Florida, the voice continued. Would you like to speak with a representative about these transactions? Yeah, I said, my voice coming out rougher than I intended. I'd like to speak with someone about fraud. The representative, a woman named Carol with a thick Southern accent, pulled up my account. I see charges starting 3 days ago, Mr. Morrison. Were you in Miami during this time period? No, ma'am. I was here in Detroit working. I see charges at the Fontainebleau Hotel, multiple restaurant charges, something called Club Live, and several spa services. Do you recognize any of these merchants? My hands were shaking now, not from anger, not yet, from something colder, more calculating. No, I don't recognize any of them. I'd like to report these as unauthorized charges. Of course, Mr. Morrison. I'll need to transfer you to our fraud department. They'll need to file a report, and you may need to provide a statement to local authorities. Local authorities. The words hung in the air like smoke from a house fire. After I hung up, I sat in my office chair, a beat-up leather thing I'd bought at a yard sale, and stared at my phone. Briana's text message glowed on the screen like a neon sign advertising betrayal. The casual cruelty of it struck me harder than the money. You make enough. As if my 60-hour weeks, my scraped knuckles, my aching back were just numbers in her checking account. I scrolled through our recent messages. Nothing unusual. Pick up milk. Working late tonight. Love you too. The normal debris of married life, hiding something rotten underneath. My phone rang. Neil's name appeared on the screen, my best friend since high school, owner of Sullivan's Pub down the street. Danny, you sound like hell. What's wrong? I told him about the text, about the charges, about the fraud report. Neil listened without interrupting, which was unusual for him. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Brother, he said finally, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but Briana wasn't alone in Miami. My chest tightened. What do you mean? Jake's girlfriend works at that fancy gym downtown, the one with the juice bar and the personal trainers who look like underwear models. She saw Briana there last month, real cozy with one of the trainers. Guy named Tyler something, drives a red Corvette, thinks he's God's gift to women. Tyler. I'd never heard the name before, but it already tasted bitter in my mouth. Jake's girl didn't want to say anything, you know how it is. But after what you just told me... Neil's voice trailed off. I thanked Neil and hung up. Then I did what any reasonable husband would do in 2024. I went full detective on social media. Briana's Instagram account was set to private, but I knew her password. We'd shared everything for 8 years, or so I'd thought. The photos made me sick. Briana in a bikini I'd never seen before, poolside at some fancy resort. Briana holding a cocktail that probably cost more than my lunch budget for a week. Briana with her arm around a guy who looked like he'd stepped out of a fitness magazine, all muscles and white teeth and spray tan. Tyler Brennan, personal trainer at Elite Fitness. The bio on his Instagram read, "Living my best life," with a flexing emoji. His recent posts showed the same Miami locations as Briana's charges, the same hotel, the same restaurants, the same timeline. I screenshotted everything. My phone buzzed with another text from Briana. "Don't be dramatic about the money. It's not like we're broke." That's when the anger finally hit. Not the hot, explosive kind that makes you punch walls. The cold, calculating kind that makes you plan. Briana thought she was dealing with the same Danny who'd spent 8 years fixing her car, unclogging her drains, and pretending not to notice when she worked late 3 nights a week. She was wrong. I opened my laptop and started a new document. Evidence log. Danny Morrison, financial fraud. Then I began typing everything I could remember, every detail, every charge, every lie. If she wanted to play games with my money, I'd show her how the game was really played. My phone rang again. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize. "Mr. Morrison, this is Detective Sarah Moore with Detroit Metro Fraud Division. I understand you filed a report about unauthorized charges on your credit card. I'd like to schedule a time to take your statement." "Of course, Detective. When would be convenient?" "How about tomorrow morning? And, Mr. Morrison, you might want to check with your wife's employer as well. We've had some interesting calls about your wife today." The line went silent, leaving me staring at my phone with a smile that probably would have scared Briana if she'd been there to see it. Detective Sarah Moore looked exactly like what Central Casting would order for a no-nonsense fraud investigator. Mid-40s, gray-streaked hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, eyes that had seen every lie in the book and weren't impressed by any of them. She sat across from me in my shop's office the next morning, a digital recorder between us on the desk. "Tell me about your relationship with your wife, Mr. Morrison." "We've been married 8 years, met at a friend's wedding, dated for 2 years before we tied the knot. She works in HR at Meridian Insurance downtown." "And you had no knowledge of her trip to Miami?" "None. She told me she was visiting her sister in Grand Rapids last weekend. I worked all 3 days. I can show you the invoices if you need them." Detective Moore made notes in a small notebook. The credit card company flagged several charges as suspicious due to the geographic distance and spending pattern. "But there's something else, Mr. Morrison. We received a call yesterday from Meridian Insurance. Apparently, your wife has been using company credit cards for personal expenses as well." The room went quiet, except for the hum of the space heater in the corner. "How much?" "Preliminary investigation suggests around $12,000 over the past 6 months. Small charges, spread out to avoid detection. Restaurant meals charged as client entertainment, spa visits charged as business conferences, that sort of thing." I felt like I was watching someone else's life implode. "What happens now?" "We'll investigate both the personal credit card fraud and the corporate embezzlement. Your wife will likely be terminated and could face criminal charges. As for the personal fraud, since you're filing charges against her for unauthorized use of your credit..." She let the sentence hang in the air. I understood. My wife was about to lose everything, and I was the one holding the matches. After Detective Moore left, I called Meridian Insurance. The receptionist transferred me to Human Resources, where a woman named Patricia Chen answered. "Mr. Morrison, I'm glad you called. We've been trying to reach your wife all morning. She didn't come in to work today." "She's probably on her way," I lied smoothly. "Is there something I can help you with?" "Well, we've discovered some irregularities in her expense reports. We'll need to speak with her as soon as possible." I hung up and immediately called Briana. It went straight to voicemail. I tried 3 more times with the same result. Around noon, she finally walked through the front door of my shop. She looked like hell. Last night's makeup smeared, hair unwashed, wearing the same clothes from her Instagram photos. The Miami tan couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. "Danny, we need to talk." I figured we might. I gestured to the chair Detective Moore had vacated. "Have a seat." She sat down carefully, like someone expecting the chair to collapse. "I know you're angry about the credit card thing, but it's not what it looks like." "Really? What does it look like?" "I was stressed, okay? Work has been crazy, and I needed a break. Sarah invited me to Miami, and I made some bad decisions." Sarah, not Tyler, still lying even now. "Briana, I've seen the photos. I know about Tyler." Her face went white under the fake tan. "How did you—" "Instagram. You forgot to block me from your account." I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots. "Nice bikini, by the way. When did you buy it?" She stared at the photos like they were evidence at a murder trial, which, in a way, they were. Evidence of the murder of our marriage. "Danny, please. It was just a fling. It didn't mean anything." $8,000 didn't mean anything? Your job didn't mean anything? Because Detective Moore tells me Meridian Insurance is very interested in your expense reports. The color drained completely from her face. "What detective?" "The one investigating you for credit card fraud and embezzlement. Turns out when you file a police report for unauthorized charges, they actually investigate it. Funny how that works." Briana started crying. Not the pretty, delicate tears from romantic movies, but the ugly, desperate crying of someone watching their life circle the drain. "Danny, please, I'll pay it back. All of it. I'll get a second job, "With what job? You think Meridian is going to keep you on after they finish their investigation?" She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. "You did this on purpose. You're trying to destroy me." "Briana, I didn't max out my own credit card. I didn't embezzle from your company. I didn't cheat on my spouse. I just reported what you did to the appropriate authorities. That's what law-abiding citizens do when they're victims of fraud." My phone buzzed with a text from Neil. "Turn on Channel 7 News." I grabbed the remote and switched on the small TV in the corner. The midday news was running a story about corporate embezzlement at local insurance companies. They didn't mention Briana by name, but they showed footage of the Meridian building and talked about an ongoing investigation into expense account fraud. Briana saw it too. She made a sound like a wounded animal. "I need to call my lawyer," she whispered. "Good idea. You're going to need one." She stumbled out of my shop like a drunk person, fumbling with her phone. I watched her through the window as she sat in her car, probably calling every lawyer in the phone book. My own phone rang, Neil's name on the display. "Did you see the news?" "Yeah, I saw it." "Jesus, Danny, I didn't know you had it in you." Neither did I, honestly. 2 days ago, I was just a mechanic with a cheating wife. Now I was apparently some kind of criminal mastermind. "It's not over yet," I told Neil. "What do you mean?" "Tyler Brennan, the personal trainer. He's got to know what Briana did to pay for their little vacation. That makes him an accessory. Danny, be careful. Don't do anything stupid." But I was way past careful, and stupid was starting to look like the sanest option available. Elite Fitness occupied the ground floor of a glass office building downtown, the kind of place where membership costs more than most people's car payments. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see rows of pristine exercise equipment and people who looked like they'd been sculpted from marble. Tyler Brennan was easy to spot. He stood near the free weights, wearing a tank top that showed off arms the size of my thighs, talking to a blonde woman in expensive workout gear. Even from the parking lot, I could see his teeth when he smiled. Perfect white squares that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, watching him work. He moved between clients like a shark through water, all confidence and predatory charm. Every woman in the place watched him when he walked by. He knew it too, probably counted on it. My phone buzzed with a call from Detective Moore. "Mr. Morrison, we've completed our preliminary investigation. Your wife has been terminated from Meridian Insurance, and the district attorney is considering charges for both the personal credit card fraud and the corporate embezzlement. What kind of charges? Felony fraud, potentially. The total amount involved is significant. There's something else, though. We've been looking into Mr. Tyler Brennan, the man who accompanied your wife to Miami. I sat up straighter. What about him? He's been under investigation by the IRS for unreported income. Apparently, he's been accepting gifts from female clients for some time. Cash, expensive items, trips. Your wife's credit card charges might have just given us the evidence we needed to build a case. After she hung up, I called Neil. I need a favor. Name it. Can you get me a membership to Elite Fitness? Danny, what are you planning? Nothing illegal. I just want to have a conversation with Tyler. Neil sighed. My cousin Rick works there as a maintenance guy. He can get you a day pass. An hour later, I walked into Elite Fitness wearing my cleanest jeans and a t-shirt that had only minor oil stains. The place smelled like disinfectant and expensive cologne. A receptionist who looked like she moonlighted as a magazine model handed me a day pass and a tour schedule. Tyler will be your guide, she said with a smile that could power a small city. He's our best trainer. Tyler appeared 5 minutes later, extending a hand with a grip that could crack walnuts. Up close, he looked even more like a walking advertisement for protein powder. Danny, right? First time at Elite? Yeah. My friend Neil recommended the place. We walked through the gym while Tyler gave me the standard sales pitch. State-of-the-art equipment, personalized training programs, nutrition counseling. He was good at his job, I had to admit. Confident without being pushy, knowledgeable without being condescending. What kind of work do you do, Danny? I'm a mechanic. Own my own shop. Something flickered in his eyes. Morrison's Auto? On Jefferson? A chill ran through me. He knew who I was. That's right. You know it? I've heard of it. His smile never wavered, but there was something different in his voice now. Small world, isn't it? We finished the tour near the juice bar. Tyler ordered something green and expensive looking. I stuck with water. So, Danny, what brings you to Elite? Looking to get in shape. Actually, I was hoping you could help me understand something. Sure. What's that? My wife spent $8,000 in Miami last weekend. I'm trying to figure out how she afforded it on her salary. Tyler's hand tightened around his juice cup. The green smoothie sloshed slightly. I'm not sure what you're getting at. I'm getting at the fact that you were in Miami with her, and now she's under investigation for embezzlement and credit card fraud. The police are very interested in talking to you. The color drained from Tyler's face, but he kept smiling. It looked distorted now, like a lifeless mask. I think there's been some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. Detective Sarah Moore, Detroit Metro Fraud Division. She mentioned your name specifically. Something about unreported income and accepting gifts from clients. Tyler stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. Several people turned to look. I don't have to listen to this. No, you don't, but you will have to listen when the IRS comes knocking. And they will come knocking, Tyler. My wife kept very detailed records of her expenses, including the ones she charged to pay for your company. He leaned across the table, his voice dropping to a whisper. You don't know who you're messing with, Danny. Sure I do. I'm messing with a personal trainer who's been running a side business with lonely housewives. The IRS calls it illegal when you accept payment for intimate services, by the way. That's a federal crime. Tyler's perfect smile finally cracked. He looked around the juice bar, probably realizing that our conversation was attracting attention from other members. This isn't over, he said quietly. You're right. It's not. I left Elite Fitness feeling better than I had in days. Tyler Brennan might look like a Greek god, but he had the same weakness as every other criminal. He thought he was smarter than everyone else. My phone rang as I reached my truck. Briana's name on the display. Danny, please, we need to talk. I'm listening. Not on the phone. Can you come home? I'll explain everything. I almost laughed. Briana, there's nothing left to explain. You cheated on me, stole my money, embezzled from your company, and now you're under criminal investigation. What exactly do you think needs clarification? I'm pregnant. The words hit me like a physical blow. I sat down hard in the driver's seat of my truck. What? I'm pregnant, Danny. 8 weeks. I did the math in my head. 8 weeks ago, we were still being intimate occasionally. But so was she and Tyler, apparently. Is it mine? She started crying again. I don't know. And there it was. The final insult. The last twist of the knife. Congratulations, I said, and hung up. The next morning brought a knock on my shop door at 7 a.m. I opened it to find Tyler Brennan and 2 other guys who looked like they'd stepped out of a steroid commercial. Tyler wore sunglasses despite the overcast sky and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Morning, Danny. We need to have that conversation now. Which conversation is that? The one where you mind your own business and stop talking to the police about things that don't concern you. I looked past Tyler at his friends. One was taller, with arms covered in tattoos. The other was shorter, but wider, built like a refrigerator with legs. They were trying to look intimidating and doing a pretty good job of it. Gentlemen, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I didn't go to the police. The police came to me when my wife committed fraud using my credit card. Semantics, Tyler said. The point is, you need to call Detective Moore and tell her you made a mistake. Tell her you gave your wife permission to use the card. But I didn't. Tyler stepped closer. He was bigger than me, younger than me, and probably stronger than me. But I'd been working with my hands for 20 years, and I knew something he didn't. Sometimes size doesn't matter as much as experience. Danny, I don't think you understand the situation you're in. Your wife made some poor choices, but that doesn't mean you need to destroy her life, or yours. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a chance to be reasonable. I nodded thoughtfully, like I was considering his offer. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. That's interesting, Tyler, because I'm recording this conversation, and threatening a witness in a federal investigation is a felony. The color drained from his face. His 2 friends looked at each other uncertainly. You're bluffing. I held up my phone, showing the voice recording app with the red record button clearly visible. Am I? Tyler grabbed for my phone. It was a mistake. I'd been expecting it. I stepped back and to the side, letting his momentum carry him past me. Then I grabbed the back of his expensive workout shirt and helped him continue his journey into the side of my tool cabinet. He hit it hard enough to rattle the drawers. His friends moved forward, but I was already holding a tire iron I'd grabbed from the workbench. Gentlemen, this is private property, and you're trespassing. I suggest you collect your friend and leave before I call the police. The refrigerator-shaped guy looked like he wanted to try his luck with the tire iron, but the tall one grabbed his arm. Come on, Tyler. This isn't worth it. Tyler pushed himself off the tool cabinet, his perfect hair mussed and his shirt torn. This isn't over, Danny. Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday, but here's the thing, Tyler. It is over. For you, anyway. Because I'm sending this recording to Detective Moore along with the photos I took of you and your friends threatening me. That's witness intimidation, which is a federal crime. Add it to the tax evasion and the prostitution charges, and you're looking at serious prison time. They left without another word. I watched them drive away in Tyler's red Corvette, then immediately called Detective Moore. Mr. Morrison, are you all right? I'm fine, Detective. But I think Tyler Brennan just made your case a lot easier. I emailed her the recording and the photos I'd taken with my security cameras. Then I called Neil. Brother, I need another favor. What now? I need you to spread the word about Tyler Brennan. Make sure everyone knows he's under investigation for tax evasion and prostitution. Danny, that's exactly what he deserves. He threatened me, Neil, in my own shop, with witnesses. Neil was quiet for a moment. All right, but be careful. Guys like that don't give up easy. He was right, of course, but I was past caring about easy. That afternoon, Briana showed up at my shop again. She looked worse than before, pale, shaky, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt that had seen better days. Danny, please, I need your help. With what? The baby, the legal stuff, everything. I set down the wrench I'd been holding and really looked at her for the first time in days. This was the woman I'd married 8 years ago, the woman I'd loved, the woman who'd shared my bed and my dreams and my bank account. Now she looked like a stranger. What do you want from me, Briana? I want you to drop the charges. I can't drop the charges. The district attorney files charges, not me. You could tell them you don't want to prosecute. But I do want to prosecute. You stole from me. You cheated on me. You lied to me for months, maybe years. Why would I help you avoid the consequences? She started crying again, but this time it felt different, more genuine, less manipulative. Because I'm scared, Danny. I'm pregnant and unemployed and facing prison time. I don't know what to do. For just a moment, I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the text message that started this whole thing. Maxed out your card in Miami. You make enough. You should have thought about that before you decided to steal my money to pay for your affair. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen, Briana? Were you planning to leave me for Tyler? Take half my business and disappear to Miami? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Get out, I said quietly. Danny, get out of my shop, get out of my life, and get a lawyer, because this is just the beginning. She left without another word. Through the window, I watched her sit in her car for 10 minutes, probably calling Tyler or her mother or anyone who might still take her calls. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You're going to regret this. I screenshot the message and forwarded it to Detective Moore, then blocked the number. Tyler was getting desperate, which meant he was getting dangerous. But I was getting something else entirely. I was getting even. The confrontation came 3 days later, on a Thursday evening when I was working late on a transmission rebuild. I heard the shop door open and looked up to see Tyler and 4 other guys walking in. Not the same 2 from before. These looked meaner, hungrier, like they did this kind of work for a living. Evening, Danny? Tyler looked different. Gone was the pretty boy personal trainer with the perfect smile. This version had lifeless eyes and hands that shook slightly, either from steroids or from fear, maybe both. We're closed, I said, not looking up from the transmission. We're not here for car repairs. I set down my tools and really looked at the 5 men spread out across my shop. Tyler in the middle, the other 4 forming a loose semicircle. They'd positioned themselves between me and the exits, which meant they'd planned this carefully. What can I do for you, gentlemen? You can fix the mess you made, Tyler said. Call Detective Moore. Tell her you lied about the credit cards. Tell her you gave your wife permission to use them. But I didn't. I don't care what you did or didn't do. I care about what you're going to say you did. One of the new guys, a thin man with prison tattoos covering his arms, stepped forward. We can do this easy or hard, old man. Your choice. I looked around my shop, at the tools and equipment I'd spent 20 years accumulating, at the business I'd built with my own hands. These men wanted to take it all away from me, just like Briana had tried to take everything else. You know what, Tyler? You're right. I should call Detective Moore. I pulled out my phone and dialed her number. Tyler smiled for the first time since he'd walked in. Detective Moore? It's Danny Morrison. I need to report a crime in progress. Tyler's smile disappeared. What the hell? 5 men just broke into my shop and are threatening me with physical violence if I don't lie to the police about my wife's fraud case. The thin man with the tattoos lunged forward, reaching for my phone. I was ready for him. 20 years of working on cars had given me quick reflexes and strong hands. I grabbed a socket wrench from the workbench and swung it in a short, sharp arc that connected with his wrist. He screamed and stumbled backward, cradling his arm. "Danny, hang up the phone," Tyler said, but his voice had lost its confidence. "Detective, they're still here. The leader is Tyler Brennan, the personal trainer I told you about. He's brought 4 friends to help him intimidate a witness." "We're leaving," Tyler said quickly. "Too late for that," I said, still holding the phone to my ear. "Detective, how long until backup arrives?" I could hear sirens in the distance, getting closer. Tyler heard them too. His face went white. "This isn't over, Danny." "Yeah, Tyler, it is. Because you just committed felony witness intimidation in front of 5 security cameras, and Detective Moore has been listening to the whole thing. You're done." The sirens were getting louder. Tyler and his friends headed for the door, but it was too late. 3 police cars pulled into my parking lot, blocking their escape. Detective Moore arrived 10 minutes later, after Tyler and his friends had been arrested and loaded into the back of patrol cars. She found me sitting in my office, drinking coffee and filling out a witness statement. "Mr. Morrison, are you hurt?" "No, ma'am, just tired. This should wrap up our case against both your wife and Mr. Brennan. Witness intimidation is a federal crime, and with the tax evasion charges, he's looking at serious prison time." "What about Briana?" "The district attorney is offering a plea deal. 18 months in minimum security, full restitution, and 5 years probation. Given that she's pregnant, it's probably the best she can hope for." After Detective Moore left, I sat alone in my shop, surrounded by the tools and equipment that represented my life's work. Everything was quiet except for the hum of the fluorescent lights and the distant sound of traffic on Jefferson Avenue. My phone buzzed with a text from Neil. "Saw the news. You okay?" "I'm fine," I texted back. "Better than fine." And I was. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like myself again. Not the doormat husband who'd been taken for granted, not the victim of fraud and betrayal, but Danny Morrison, businessman, survivor, and apparently someone you didn't want to cross. The next morning brought a knock on my door. I opened it expecting another reporter or detective, but found Briana instead. She looked terrible, pale, thin, wearing the same clothes she'd had on 2 days ago. "Danny, I'm taking the plea deal." "Good. It's better than you deserve. I wanted to tell you something before I go away." "I'm listening." "The baby isn't yours." I'd already figured that out, but hearing her say it still hurt. Not because I wanted the baby to be mine, but because it was one more lie, one more betrayal in a marriage built on deception. "Tyler's?" "Yeah." "Does he know?" "Not yet, but he'll figure it out when he gets the paternity test from prison." She turned to leave, then stopped. "Danny?" "What?" "I'm sorry for all of it. You deserved better." "Yes," I said. "I did." She walked away, and I watched her go without feeling anything at all. No anger, no sadness, no regret. Just emptiness where 8 years of marriage used to be. I went back inside and opened my laptop. I had work to do, invoices to send, parts to order, a business to run. My business, built with my own hands, paid for with my own money, belonging to no one but me. Outside, Detroit was waking up to another day. Cars needed fixing, people needed help, and Danny Morrison's auto was open for business. I looked at the framed photo on my desk, me and Briana on our wedding day, both of us smiling like we believed in forever. I picked it up, walked to the dumpster behind my shop, and threw it away. Then I went back inside and got to work. 6 months later, Tyler Brennan was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for tax evasion and witness intimidation. Briana served 14 months and gave birth to a daughter she named Madison. She moved back in with her parents and got a job at a call center. I never saw either of them again. My business grew. Word got around that Danny Morrison was someone you could trust, someone who stood up for himself, someone who didn't back down when things got tough. I hired 2 more mechanics and expanded into custom restoration work. I never remarried, but I dated occasionally. I was careful about it, though. I'd learned to pay attention to the warning signs, to trust my instincts, to value myself enough not to accept less than I deserved. On quiet evenings, when the shop was closed and the work was done, I'd sometimes think about that text message. Maxed out your card in Miami. You make enough. She was wrong about a lot of things, but she was right about one. I did make enough. Enough to rebuild my life, enough to start over, enough to be happy. And that was more than enough for me.